If there's one thing this career of being an author or a writer is going to teach you eventually, it's even if you're not the greatest at being social, you're going to eventually learn to get better at it somehow. Let's go ahead and talk about how introverted authors definitely can face themselves while also literally, in this case, not necessarily facing the music, but facing the words that could lead to a career full of orchestrations. See you here in a bit. Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references. Alongside the raw healing stories, I do dare weave in the murder annals and the Telangica. I, alongside that, help other soul bards, hopefully help other soul bards do what they love to do most in their pace and their time and their stride. And I have gone increasingly more and more hermit mode over the last 2 to 3 years. And this last year especially has been the most hermit I've ever hermited as an adult. So a little bit of a recap. Growing up, I was not a social butterfly. It clearly shows in my inability to do well with the social thing and learning to do better applying. And literally, my brothers used to yell at my mom when I was a kid because I spent too much time alone at like age 3, 4, 5. I was alone in my bedroom all the time. And yeah, I was surrounded by adults, but they were all working, and I was constantly told I was to be heard and not seen, preferably not heard nor seen. Flip that. I was to be seen, not heard, preferably not even seen unless I was cleaning. That's the correct way to say it. And with being an introvert, we as authors, sometimes, I keep saying it, we're not a lonely island. So what are 3 things we come up against as authors who tend to look at the world and say, 49 and a foot, whatever half foot pole it is, Grinch. We're not really Grinchy about it. We very much are learning to pivot in the situation. Okay, Friends joke for those of you who watch that show and giggle along with, because the pivot is just that kind of chaos for some of us who literally don't know what to say, or in my case, more often than not, before I say something out loud, it's gone through at least 30 different filters. We'll put it that way. So I'm always second guessing what I'm saying, and pivoting away from that has been really difficult. I honestly tend to lean into, and recently got called out on it by one of my clients, even, you don't tend to put yourself first a whole lot, do you? No. Some of you will understand doing that comes with consequences. Some of you understood that statement. And learning to pivot away from statements and beliefs such as that is usually something that does go through our heads as introverts. And it's always from the perspective of, we don't want to make somebody else uncomfortable. I don't care about my embarrassment. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I don't care. I don't wear makeup. I don't care. Anyone who has problems with my weight or how I look, that's your problem, sweetheart. Not me. And you can choose to look the other way, because I've tried to change this body my whole life. If you're uncomfortable with it, get out of here. I don't need you. So that's how I've had to take into feeling about myself versus others. I really don't care what people say about me. I do care when it comes to how I'm viewed and how I treat others, but that's often for a lot of us who are social introverts, that's our sociological pre-programming, whether it's cultural, as in like home-based culture, nuclear home-based familial culture, like mine was, or even larger than that. I mean, on top of the fact that literally my parents would tell other parents, when my daughter is at your house, she is to be seen and not heard. And if you hear her say anything, we don't even care if it's a positive thing. She's in trouble. If you want her to be in trouble, you let us know. All the way to, you've got religious things that they say spare the child. They don't really mean it. And I very much grew up in that toxicity of, it's not safe to speak up. So learning that pivot too, that really, truly, it is safe, and other people just have to suck it up and deal that you are who you are. That's their problem, not yours. And you probably triggered something in them not meaning to, is often the biggest and hardest lesson for most introverts, especially creative introverts, because we go into what's called like artistic blindness, where everyone will see, like, everyone looks at my books and goes, oh my God, Jenna, you've written how many books in 5 years? I'm like, about 10. That's 10 finished. Probably have about 10 more unfinished that are started. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so far behind. And everyone's like, that's 2 books a year. And I'm like, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. And that goes to one of my favorite lines from Labyrinth of, you say that so often. I wonder what your basis for comparison is. People who have been doing this longer than me and who didn't have to work a day job and who write shorter than me and. Are they excuses or are they logical observations? That's your perspective on what they could be, okay? But my artistic blindness is not that, yay, I've published 10 books, which some people don't even publish one. I'm condemning my hard work. I'm looking down at the fact that there's typos in those books, that there's errors in those books. Yeah, because they're human-made. They're supposed to be imperfect, because the Virgo who made them is learning not to be. Therefore, we also have to come up against quite a many myths. And a lot of them revolve around this self aspect. Even if you're traditionally published, normally there's this self aspect. So traditional publishing, self-publishing, both included here. When we get into the self, what are we really doing? Self-promoting? Oh my God, those are bad words. Self-promotion! Self-promotion! Oh my God, those are dirty words. To an introvert. Oh, that's probably, as I was recently told, Jenna, if you just marketed your books half as hard as you wrote them, yeah, I know. And some of you are like, you finally have a backlist. Because that was my problem for the longest time. I didn't have a backlist. And now I'm not marketing the backlist. Because that's scary. It comes with the risk of being perceived, which a lot of us neurotypicals and neuroatypicals do not enjoy. We also, and a lot of that's cultural, mind you. A lot of that's cultural, not just your neurodivergence level. So, a lot of us also don't like being judged. And there's so much catty, petty, mean girl Regina George stuff that goes on in this community. Y'all see why I pulled back. And I'm calling out not just the community writing the books, but also the communities consuming the books. And including myself on the call out sometimes too, because it is much warranted and needed. If you're going to do the calling out, you should be ready to call out yourself. It's just, it makes being an indie author harder than it already has to be. I know I'm fat. I know I'm ugly. I know you're not going to not agree with me on every topic. We're still all creating books that hopefully in some way help someone out there in the world. That is our commonality. That is our through line. And in an age where literacy is literally the new horizon that we need to defend, I don't care who you are, what you believe, so long as you're a pretty good human being. I don't care what you look like, just write your book, please. Don't dance in the spilled milk once it's already been spilled. Go make something better with it. If you're going to cry, cry. So be it. Do something about it anyway. So facing that myth and busting that myth that we're powerless, that we lack, whoo, that's a lot of conditioning for some of us. That's 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years for some of my community watching this of conditioning going, see ya, and please be a paper football that gets soaked and destroyed and not a boomerang that comes back. So therefore, finally, we learn to be quiet authorities. I hate being called a teacher. I hate it. I was a teacher for a long time. Yeah, I still do teachery, educatory things as part of helping other authors do what they do. At the same time, yeah, I have mastery. I would venture to say I probably, over the course of my life, have invested 10,000 plus hours of study into writing. That is what they consider mastery. I would not be shocked if I'm not there. I'm probably pretty close, and a lot of you are probably going, At the same time, the more I learn, the more I know. I absolutely positively know nothing. Well, for one, in some regards, stuff keeps changing. Hello, marketing, algorithms, anyway. But at the same time, as soon as I learn one thing, normally I'm running into a deeper level of the iceberg to consume, going, oh my God, the iceberg just got bigger. Not, oh, I know everything, I'm an expert. No, by all means, no. Let me share what I'm encountering along my journey. Is instead how I view this channel and what I do. It is my hope that I help. Because if I'm harming, oh boy, I've spent my adult life dedicating myself to helping others learn to read and write and wasting a lot of people's time, money, and resources, not just my own. So you're allowed to be wrong. You're allowed to have a different opinion. You're allowed to be you. It really doesn't matter what you look like. You're probably, if you're watching this far, definitely a pretty decent human being who actually cares about others beyond what you see, beyond the drama and gossip that probably isn't true or was from a time before you knew the person. With that being said, if you are a quiet authority, if you are a mythic busting myths, if you are a person learning to pivot, thank you for being you. This world may not be ready for your creativity and may not be wholly able to support it, but dang, is it in much need of ya and all you give. Leave a purple heart. See you in the next one.